What up, what up, football fans all over the world? It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co host, Adam Costas. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for that real deal NFC East Round-Up. Punch that intro. What is going on out there, everybody? How y'all feeling today on this Wednesday afternoon? A little, gloomy out here where I'm at. But how y'all feeling, man? New York Giants actually won a football game this weekend, man. How you feeling today, Adam?
We're good. Giants won. People can rest easy that we finally got a win. So there you go.
Absolutely, man. What's going on, my guy? No Mets, no Nets, no Jets, man. Always the first one in the building. Appreciate you, my dude. Appreciate you. What's going on, Philly B, man? No doubt indeed, man. I appreciate you stopping in, bro. But yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting first few weeks of the season in the NFL, man. I don't know what you don't know what to expect Sunday. A lot of teams went into Sunday's matchup 0-2, man, and not a near one of them came out 0-2. They all came out with a victory on Sunday. It was a kind of head scratching. I mean, a lot of them were very shocking, to say the least. But there's only three winless squads remaining. So excuse me, one did come out on 0-3 on Sunday. Actually, Tennessee Titans came out 0-3 on Sunday, but we ain't worry about them anyway. But anyway, other than that, it was just it's been a weird weekend, man, going on. Been a weird weekend, been weird just first few weeks of the season. It's been just everything's been all over the place. It's hard to wrap your head around it. It's hard to get a grasp on things, man. But I don't know. It's like if you're a betting man, I don't know how you've been really putting anything together because like underdogs, everything's just been kicking ass, man. It's just like I said, it's been a lot of kooky things going on. The NFC East is like, and no mess just spit down here is looking really weird, man. It's looking crazy. We'll see, man. We'll see. It was a big win for the Giants. That was against a good team, and people. We think Cleveland's a good team anyway. So we'll see. I guess we'll have to wait and see how the season actually plays out. But it's been definitely a weird couple of three seasons. Thanks for stopping in, Rodney. Appreciate you. But what's going on, Daniel Barry? Thanks for stopping in early, man. But let's get right to it, man. Let's get right to it, man. I guess we can start with I guess we'll start with the New York Giants since they went over to Cleveland, man. Got on the road. A lot of people didn't give the Giants much of a chance going in there against that defense, myself included. I thought the New York Giants was going to be in for a long afternoon. Kick the game gets started, opening kickoff. Eric Gray fumbles the ball. And on the very next play, the first play from scrimmage, the Cleveland Browns put it right in the end zone. So we are now 11 seconds into the game, and the Cleveland's up 7-0. And I'm already, my blood was already boiling. I'm just thinking, oh man, the New York Giants are getting ready to get absolutely toasted today. Cleveland just made that look way too easy. But surprise, surprise, New York Giants had some tricks up their sleeve, man. I don't. You want to talk about it?
Sure. I thought, like you said, the opening kickoff got fumbled by Eric Gray. I kind of figured the same thing would happen. And then, there were some ebbs and flows in the games, and the Giants went into what I believe was conservative mode. What I mean by that is their offense in the first half was very behind the line of scrimmage. A lot of screen passes, a lot of trick plays to Malik Neighbors, get Wandell Robinson the ball in open space. And so it worked out well because you have a defense that you're playing that is a blitzing defense. However, what I will say is Daniel did have a bad interception that if they don't call pass interference, could have broke the game open. I thought that was one play that saved the Giants. Another play that saved the Giants was Deshaun Watson fumbling the ball. That was a play that saved the Giants because the Giants, again, got the ball inside their yard line. The Giants moved the football pretty well inside the 20 the first half, and they got a couple gifts. And then in the second half, the Ford fumble, Jerome Ford, the running back, fumbling the ball on the handoff is also a play I think that benefited the Giants. Because if you look what they did in the first half of the game, offensively, give it to Malik Neighbors, hit the guys in front of you. Run game wasn't really great, I would say. I think they did a better job pass blocking. But the Cleveland Browns, I think they were doing a lot more four-man rushing. So you saw a lot of guys getting blocked. Even though Myles Garrett was still a headache, there were still guys getting blocked right there. And then in the second half, they did an adjustment where they basically shut the Giants' offense down in the second half completely, where the Giants couldn't really move the football. They played the field position game, which is what I thought Cleveland was going to do. They did it in the second half once they figured out the Giants' blitz schemes. And Shane Bowen blitzed the Giants, blitzed the Browns. Now, I'm going to go on a limb and say we might have overestimated this Browns team because right now they are putrid offensively. Their offensive line was banged up, which is no excuse. I'm glad the D-line took advantage of that. I think that hindered them at the beginning of the game because Deshaun Watson wasn't really that decisive. There was pressure in his face a lot of the times, and they couldn't really move the football. In the second half, they really kind of adjusted, and I think Shane Bowen I don't know if he let the dogs out or if they just figured out the blocking scheme a little bit more. And then you saw them hitting some passes. So there's some things that alarm me, and there are trends that I'm starting to see with the Giants. And the trends are this. When you have a good running back, such as Brian Robinson or Aaron Jones, the Giants are going to be gashed and probably not have a chance to win that game. When you have a running back by committee and an offensive line that's pretty bad like that Cleveland had right now, because they're banged up, not because they're front five. Their guys are just banged up. The Giants have had an easier time adjusting to that run game and putting pressure on the quarterback. And I think because the offense has no real explosives. You see, they didn't do the same blitzing with Sam Darnold and Jaden Daniels. And I asked myself, I wonder why is that? And I don't know if it was more aggressive because in the second half, they still really didn't get that aggressive. Well, yes, according to every viewer in the NFL. But I'm just saying right now, the results are what the results are. Cleveland's not very good at the moment, right? Going into the game on the schedule, yes, that was a game. This game, the NFL thought they were going to lose by 7.5 points. So what I'm getting at is, if they had a better offensive team, the Giants might have been in a little bit more peril because the second half, you still need to be more aggressive. And what this offense needs to do is hit some big plays. Daniel Jones, solid game. I'm not going to give him like a great game, not a game. It was an average. It was like if you look at it as a backup quarterback game, right? He did what he needed to do. He didn't fuck it up. And he had a couple chances too. Let's be honest. He got a couple of chances where you're like, oh my God, Daniel, what are you doing? But thankfully, Malik Neighbors bailed him out a few times, one on the jump ball and then another one where his hand was hit in the second half. And they made some adjustments. So the Giants need to figure out what they did in the first half and bottle that up, because there was a stat that I saw, which is kind of interesting, that the Giants have some of the most first quarter touchdowns, or first half touchdowns, which I think is 5 in their first 3 games, right? But they only have 1 second half touchdown in their 3 games. That's going to have to change going forward. You're going to have to score points in the second half of the ball game. You got to hit some deep shots, and like Malik Neighbors running up the sideline. You got to hit him, man. I'm not trying to nitpick, but these are things that are going to, when you face offenses that are going to score, like the one they're going to see on Thursday, you're going to need to be able to put the ball into the board. And like I said, overall, solid game plan. They went in, it was very conservative. Um, give the ball to Malik, good things will happen. He bails out. I told you guys he'll bail out Daniel Jones. That's what he's done. That throw to the back of the end zone, I thought was going like into the first row, and Malik Neighbors jumps, I don't know, 5 feet in the air, it looked like, does a spin a Rooney, somehow lands with his feet touching the ground before his hand touched the ground. It was kind of an incredible catch. So good for him. And listen, no Mets, I'm giving it to you how it is, right? We did dominate them, but in the second half of the game, we fell apart. Period. That's what happened. They had 2 chances in this game to come back and put points on the board. They botched it themselves. One time they went down and scored. The next time, 2 times they botched it themselves. Okay, they had 4th and 1. They couldn't go for it. They punted, and then they had the dropped Cedric Tillman pass that hit him in the hands. If they catch that pass, they could be scoring, and we could be saying, "Oh my God, the Giants lost a heartbreaking fashion." They also missed a field goal, the Giants, in the second half, which put the Browns right back in the game, down a score. So if we criticize them when they win, we can praise them when they win, which is a good job at winning. Defense, you did a good job. I'm still concerned about the injuries in the back. We lost what's his face, Phillips and Jackson. So I'm concerned about those guys. And Aziz Ojulari getting out there. So
I mean, yeah, I feel. But the one thing I will say is because, like I said this last week, and I said it all last week. I said I thought Cleveland was going to beat us. I said it because I thought just was nothing we were going to be able to do against that incredible defense that the Cleveland Browns have, and they still had that incredible defense out
and they
there
didn't
on
do
the
nothing in the
field
second half.
on Sunday. And my point is that I was saying that Cleveland's the only thing that gave us a chance in this football game was that Cleveland's not a juggernaut offensively, which they proved once again not to truly be. I mean, Amari Cooper definitely had a great game. He made some plays, and it was a long day for young Tay Banks out there, man. But
We do.
I'm
I'm
saying
just
all this to
sorry. Go ahead.
I'm saying this to say that the Giants on Sunday, the reason I was so impressed with this victory because it was on the road in a tough environment against like I said, a defense that we deem legitimate in this NFL. And Daniel Jones, as much as I still am not a fan of Daniel by no means, but I think to go out there and to play that well
What's up?
against a defense like that on the road,
Listen,
it wasn't to me. It was impressive because he did make a lot of good decisions with the football.
he had a good
And
first
granted,
half.
I want to see him. I want to see him. I want to see him hit on some of those deep balls down. Definitely want to see him get the connection on some of those deep balls. But he really did make some good decisions. In the first half, you're right. It was mostly in the first half. The second half, it did get a little, a
It got
little
ugly.
dicey, especially in the
It
third
did.
quarter. Third quarter, especially the third quarter. I think the fourth quarter they kind of came back to life again, but third quarter got a little dicey, especially at times where Cleveland really got themselves back into the football game. Giants. I mean, defensively for the Giants in the second half, they came out. They were definitely far less aggressive in the second half. Definitely dialed back the blitzing a little bit, and I feel like that's what happens sometimes when teams play with the lead and play when they get that they get a little bit complacent, and he kind of Shane Bone kind of started going back to what we saw in the first couple of weeks, a lot more of the zone stuff, and Cleveland
So it seemed
got
like he
themselves
didn't
back in
want
the
to lose
game.
the lead,
But look,
right? It seemed like he didn't want to
but
lose the
look,
lead by doing something aggressive. You know what I mean? That
but
makes
I
sense.
mean, yes, Cleveland gave the Giants a couple of gifts in the second half, but the New York Giants, I mean, you got Devin Singletary who put the ball on the ground yet again this week in a situation that slowed down the New York Giants drive. That derailed the New York Giants drive in the
It's like
second half
turn
of
the
this
ball
game
over,
as
man.
well. So these are the things those are the kind of things where the Giants do have to work on and clean things up. But I'd really feel good about a win on the road against a team like this because we don't know how good Cleveland's going to be ultimately. Right now they're off to a rough start, sitting at 1-2, the same as the New York Giants. But at the same time, at the same time, like I said, Miles Garrett was out there still flying around all over the place. That corner they got back there, once they locked him on Malik Neighbors had a tougher time
Yeah.
making things happen as well. Denzel Ward, is that what his name is? Uh,
Yes. Denzel
yeah,
Ward.
once they realized that they can't just throw anybody at Malik Neighbors, they locked Denzel Ward on him. It was a little tougher for Malik Neighbors, man. But at the same time, that kid's a dog, man. So we got Giants got a special one in him, and I think
Can't wait till they get a real QB
I'm
to
not.
throw the ball.
That's what I'm talking about. I am waiting for that as well. I mean, like I said, I don't want to give Daniel Jones too hard a time for this game though, because I think overall myself, I think he did play really well in this game.
Right.
Personally,
But
like I
listen,
said, yeah, he got bailed out. He got bailed out with the penalty on the interception, which was a
oh my God,
horrible
that's
interception that he
horrendous.
threw. I
Had
mean,
that
but he
gone
got
through, ugh, could have been the game, man. Could have been the game.
But at the end of the day, that shit happens to everybody, man. Like I said, I don't want to sit here and make it seem like Daniel Jones' standard is perfection. You know what I mean? It happens to everybody.
Well,
Overall,
you
he still played a well. He played a good game. And as far as some of the throws to Malik Neighbors, I'm just playing a little devil's advocate with some of your points. That's all. I mean, I agree with a lot of them. But start with the Malik Neighbors thing. That's what the great receivers do on teams. They make their quarterbacks look I mean,
that's what
sometimes
he's supposed to
exceptional.
do.
I mean, exactly. So, I mean, sometimes you're gonna have to go out there and get. You got Malik Neighbors to make the tough catches, and that's what he did on Sunday. He made the tough catches on
Right.
Sunday,
And
man. I just like I said,
and
I
I'm
want to
not,
see Daniel find that connection with him downfield though, because it was a couple of those downfield opportunities. I mean, even the one at Jalen Hyatt had to step. All you had to do was if you could have got thrown a better ball out there to him, that probably would have been a touchdown as well. I mean, you just gotta. So Daniel Jones really has to find a connection on
yeah.
the long ball. Period. Not even just the Malik Neighbors, just in general. So I will hope we can figure that out.
But
But
the thing about the long
go
ball
ahead, what
that
you got,
he
Adam?
the thing about the long ball that what's Nomad says here, the one that Hyatt misses. I'm not necessarily mad at that one, even though that one should have been probably in the breadbasket. The one to Hyatt when he's up the sideline having to dive for it, he shouldn't have to dive for the ball. Go throw it to him, and why am I saying this? And why am I nitpicking? Because 2022 showed you that this is a tough way to win. Okay, tough way to win. When you play teams like Cleveland, you can win games like this because they don't have the potency of many other offenses. Do they have guys? Yes. They have Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore. We have that. But they don't right now. Deshaun Watson's not playing at the level that he normally is. He's playing like a backup quarterback, quite frankly. He stinks. Let's just call a spade a spade. And I'm saying when you play a quarterback that's a little bit more decisive, if you look at the game against Minnesota, that team went down the field a little bit more. If you look at Washington, they went down the field a little bit more. Some trend that needs to stop happening in these games, which I also picked up on, is in 3 games, the Giants defense have given up 7, 10, and 12 in a row passes to quarterbacks. Okay. More prolific offenses will catch up to that. And that is what you need. That's why I'm saying you hit these deep shots. Okay. And you open the game, you spread the game. The game is played differently. Now you're putting pressure on the defense, on the offense, to score on the other end, right? Because you're going to play teams that can score in a heartbeat. The one that they're going to play on Thursday can score in nanoseconds, right? So if you have to march methodically downfield to score, and they can score in 3 plays, it puts advantage on the other team because now you're putting yourself more in peril, and that's what we talked about. It's almost deja vu all over again. This is what I said against Washington, is when you play a prolific offense, I said it could work against Cleveland, right? It could work against Cleveland. And it worked against Cleveland because you don't have to, because of how the game was played and both defenses and offenses aren't prolific, it worked out for the Giants to play this way. When you play a team that's going to have more weaponry and a better quarterback and maybe even a solid run game, you're going to have to change up these things, and you're going to need to hit those big shots on offense because that's going to change the dynamic and put points on the board quickly. The Giants can't keep grinding it out and hoping to win because not every team is going to be the Cleveland Browns. Even if you play Pittsburgh, their defense is also lights out. We said that now, but they're clearly doing it, right? Cleveland has had some injuries and up and down. They haven't been as locked down as we thought they were, but Pittsburgh is a team that is similar to Cleveland in their offense, but they can do things defensively as well. And you're going to need to score these points sometimes to blow the game open. If you look at what happened, even the Ravens, who scored against the Cowboys, had 28 points. They put 4 points on the board. And I know it sounds bad, but these big plays can help open up a defense coming at you. You know what I mean? And so, to me, um, no excuses. I don't want to hear about the excuses. We didn't have our sea legs. They didn't have their sea legs either. It's Minnesota is Minnesota. Give them respect. They're 3-0. That's what they've done. They came out ready to play. The Giants looked flat in that game. It had nothing to do with sea legs. It just looked flat. The second game, they had the same thing. This game, they came out and fumbled the ball opening second. They overcame those mistakes, thankfully, because Cleveland can't do shit on offense, really. They overcame those mistakes. But if you play a better team with an offense that is bet to score, like the Saints, something like that, a team that has weaponry, it might be a little different if you don't get in the track meet to win. And you're going to sometimes have to be in the track meet. And that's why I'm saying it's critical to hit some of those deep balls. That's all.
How's it going, Gregor, man? Thanks for stopping in. I definitely appreciate you, bro, for popping by, man. But yeah, just I hear it all. I get what you're saying, but like I said, all we can do right now is based on what we going into this game. The Cleveland Browns were considered a far better football team than the
Yes.
New York Giants,
The eye test is not.
even back when we even back when we broke this down when the schedule was released, we thought this was a surefire, like no way Giants are going into
Well,
Cleveland and winning this football game. I mean, it just
technically,
didn't
I
look
had the
like
record
there
at
was
one
a
and two.
chance in hell.
Technically, I had their record at one and
Yeah,
two.
but
I had,
this wasn't the one. This Cleveland
right,
wasn't the
right.
one.
But at the end of the day, for me, it doesn't really matter how they get the wins, right? My thing is, will they end up with the number that I've gotten? Because for all we know, they could lose to the Panthers, right? The game we expect them to win, right? So it's going to happen like that in the NFL. Think this is why they play the games, and it's good to have some momentum and get off the schneid and still have a pulse of a season. And you know, they did what they had to do to get it done, and that's what they did. They held on for victory because I think, to me, the second half played out as more of like, let's hold on, let's hold on, let's hold on. They were still being aggressive, but things weren't working out the same way. And at some point, they were just like, let's be conservative. And then the last, I thought when they did that run play at the end, somebody blew an assignment because Devin Singletary shouldn't have been that open. They blocked it up well, and I think the defense just got tired at that point. They kept fighting, and they put their it was a long day for that defense for Cleveland. They were on the field a lot. It was hot. They were getting pounded on. So they broke like a sieve at the end. So let's see what they can do. It's interesting to see.
I mean, it gives me a little, as a fan, a little optimism. I'm still not going to get crazy and think, oh, this team's going to the playoffs or anything crazy like that. But it gives you a little optimism to watch them put together a game like that, execute, and like I said, for the most part, execute well. They will have hiccups along the way, but you're going to
You
have
got to
that.
stop turning the
But
ball
this
over, man.
team overall, I mean, I want to talk about another positional group on this football team because I'm just proud. I get more and more proud of being a big guy. I get more and more proud of this group every week because finally, the New York Giants are putting out a competent offensive line that can actually, put their pads on somebody and move guys out the way and just get the quarterback some time back there. Daniel Jones, his pass protection was absolutely phenomenal in this football game, man. I think, and overall, considering the opponent you're going against, the reigning defensive player of the year and Miles Garrett on that defense, and I mean, and he gave Andrew Thomas fits in
With
this
one
game,
foot.
but at the same
With
time,
one foot.
yeah, exactly. But this O line was holding up and just really getting the job done, and they just continue to get better and better each and every week so far throughout this season. It's been a steady improvement that as Giant fans, we can only hope can continue and they can really become a legitimate group up there because they are looking. They've been sharp throughout the first few weeks of the season, man. And they've been better, much better than what we've seen and for the New York Giants over the years, man. But just and then like I said, just the way the pass rush came to life. I mean, Brian Burns finally showed up. Took him to get banged up for him to decide to come out there and show up a little bit because he was banged up too. And he was out there getting it done. Thibodeau made some impactful plays, like you said, Azeez Ojulari. Who's the D tackle? What's that kid's name? The undrafted free
Chapman.
agent kid. What's his name? You know,
Chapman.
Chapman's out there. I mean, great game for Elijah Chapman, man. I mean, just like I said, just it was just overall solid performance. Like I said, they got a little complacent, especially earlier in the third quarter. But when it was time to clamp down once again in the fourth quarter, hang on and bring that victory home, they got the job done, and that's all you can ask for in a football team, man. And I'm just gonna take this one with a grain. Like I said, hopefully this is the beginning of some positive things for the New York Giants, but we have to wait and see. We'll see. It's short coming into got a short week going against a divisional opponent coming up this week. It's coming off of two really bad losses. We'll see, man. We will see, man. How the week turns out for how everything turns out for the Giants. But overall, I can say I was truly proud of this football team on Sunday for the way they fought, the way they hung in there, and they didn't give it up in the end, even when it looked like they almost were about to. They still clamped down when they needed to. Shane Bowen, take this look at this game plan and understand that you might not be able to do the same thing against everybody, but at the end of the day, you got to get a little more aggressive on that defense.
Well,
Between the 20s, you can't let guys march up and down the field. You got to be a
I'm a
little
little
more
worried about
aggressive.
that this week.
I think that just so, so
My
worried
one,
about that this week.
yes, we have a couple of guys injured on the cornerback position. So, and a guy who in Dak can beat the blitz. So I'm just wondering what his game plan is going to be because if you blitz and miss with these young guys who are not going to be who may not have communication, right? Because I mean Banks is still getting cooked, right? He still gave up a touchdown. The DBs don't have many interceptions on our team, right? And it's not like we forced one turnover and one was given to us. So we need to get more of those bounces our way, more tips in the line. And in the second half, I was where defense wasn't as clampful uh, going down the field because they did again. Cleveland started to get some momentum and hit some passes, and that's what you do in the NFL. But we'll find out if they change. The one thing interested in is tight end. Like, what is happening? I don't know if we have a catch by tight end. Like, what are we doing? Bellinger's on the bench. He doesn't do anything.
Man,
Might hurt is a block.
Theo Johnson and Belly both had catch a piece, I believe. I think they both had one catch a piece in this one. Yeah, they
Really?
both had one. Theo Johnson and Bellinger both had a catch a piece. Theo Johnson actually had a nice one, got a little bit of yak after it. A couple.
Let's use him
So
more. That should
I'd
be a
like to get
weapon.
them more. I would like to get them more involved. Definitely would like to get them more involved. I mentioned. I remember talking about that on my aftermath after the game. I would like to see the tight ends be a little more involved because Bellinger's a better receiver than people give him credit for. I think, and I think he can
He's
be
in the
definitely involved a
doghouse for
lot more
what?
in the passing game. And Theo Johnson also as well. Can definitely. I mean, Theo Johnson was targeted 3 times. He only got the one catch, and Bellinger was just targeted the one time and got the one catch got the catch as one target. So like
And the Giants got to cover tight ends.
Theo
They,
was
they were
definitely
lucky.
close to breaking. Theo was close to breaking that wide open. So
Yeah, but didn't Slayton break his
that was
helmet from
and I remember the one play where Daniel missed Theo on a play where he probably would have got some big yardage. Actually, that was there. I remember that being one of the throws he missed, where Theo Johnson probably would have been really made been to make a big play if he would have been able to get it to him. But like I said, nonetheless, overall, still great, solid performance by the New York Giants going on the road and beating what, at least for right now, was thought to be a good football team. Maybe by the time it's all said and done, they will prove to not be so
They're
good.
one and
But
two like we are. They were
for
bad.
right now,
They
I
they
mean,
weren't
yeah, but
what we
not
were
going into this
anticipating.
game, we were heavy underdogs and not expected to win this football game by nobody. Like
Okay.
not a lot of people gave the New York Giants a chance going into this football game. So That's what I'm basing it off of. That I'm not basing it off of their record that they are the reality that they're 1-2. The Bengals are 0-3, but people still consider some people are still probably considering them a decent football team, even at 0-3. So
Yeah, but I mean, you look at the
it is
Browns
what it is.
and you look at the Bengals team, and I would take the Bengals at 0-3 over the Browns at 1-2 just because of what they're doing offensively. But that's a story for premium takes. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good plug there, Adam. Great plug. Uh, but let's move on, man. We've been on this game for a minute. Unless you got some final thoughts. But we had one more
uh,
game in the 1 o'clock window.
nope. Let's move on.
We did we had one more game in the 1 o'clock
Oh,
window we get to, man, down in the bayou. The Philadelphia Eagles traveled down to take on the New Orleans Saints. I thought this was going to be a more of a high
hard
scoring
one.
affair. I thought these offenses were going to be prolific and just tearing these defenses apart. And it was definitely not that. This was a snooze fest for throughout pretty much the first three
Was
quarters,
it a
and then
defensive
the
struggle?
fourth quarter, some things. Yeah, kind of, but not really. Not even necessarily. It was just, I don't know. This game it was weird. I didn't get to see much of it because obviously it was on the same time as the Giants, and that's where my attention was. But it this game was boring. It was boring for the most part, man. Like not a lot of fireworks at all until the fourth quarter when things kind of they started to break things open, man, in the fourth quarter.
My
But
second team is not looking good. You're
what you
right
got?
there. No Mets.
What you got on this one?
Well, I was at the a restaurant bar with a friend watching the Giant game, and they had the Philly game on in the background, and you got to see the team, and I really was shocked at how well the Philadelphia defense came out and played. I thought this game they hit hard, they rallied to the football. They really took what they said to heart. A lot of people were saying the same thing that they're saying about the Cowboys right now. They're saying with the Eagles, and they came out and they won the game. Let's be honest. If New Orleans scores a touchdown instead of a field goal, we're talking about a totally different ballgame. They didn't. And you had some fireworks towards the end. Saquon Barkley is paying major dividends for them. And listen, they're lucky that we have Saquon. We're lucky we have Malik. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's what they brought him in there for. That's why they pay him the big bucks to make plays like that. And Barkley came through. They also had a Dallas Goedert come through at a big play. They clicked that when they needed to click. So I know, like, we like to, shortchange everybody and hate on things. Barkley's doing well. And I don't really care. Like, I'm not one of those bitter Giant fans that are like, fuck him or do this. I'm like, hey, man, listen, we saw this when he played with us. And now, he's doing what we thought he was going to do. At least I thought that he was going to do this. And I know Giant fans are like, this is ridiculous. And it's like, he's over at the Birds. Fuck him. Listen, he chose to go to that team. He tried to give the Giants a chance. It didn't work out here. Business is business. They brought him in there for that reason. The Philadelphia Eagles probably don't win 2 out of the 3 games that they played. Well, all the games without Saquon Barkley on their team. Just let's call a spade a spade. He's been that impactful on the ball club. A guy that's literally carrying them to victories right now. And they haven't played that well, the Eagles, offensively. They've had their moments where they've driven down the field, they've scored some points. But this is what you bring a guy in for, a guy that can change the field. We talk about big plays. The Giants haven't generated as many as we thought. Barkley has generated a lot in the last couple games. This is the second game, I think, where he's had a big play. The third game, I think, he's had a big play. I think he had a big play in who'd they play in they had a big play in Brazil. He had like a 33-yard run. Then he had another big run in Atlanta where it got intercepted by Jalen Hurst on that play. And then he had a big run here. So in 3 games, he's had some room to work and some holes to run through where he only has to juke a guy out. And I didn't think he was going to regain his speed. He got some of them juice back in his legs. It took him a little while to get that juice back, but he got it. And good for him. Good for them for winning, I guess. Because I'm impressed more or less. I'm impressed with their defense and the swagger and the fight they're fighting with. They're about to fight on the field with that team. That showed me something. That showed me that they're not going to just lie down like last year, which everyone said they were going to, because they lost their game last year and they didn't come out and play in Brazil, and they had the last second loss against Atlanta where Kirk Cousins went down the field and they stopped him. So here they are. They went and they won a game where we all thought they were going to be blown out, right? Or at least to be a shootout of a game with what the Saints have done. So here we are, and they won. So not much to talk about the game. Defense impressive. We'll see if they can hold that up. But
I mean, the fact that this game entered the fourth quarter 3-0. I was thinking that's what the game was going to. I thought it was going to finish. I thought it was going to be a 3-0 shutout, like just like that. I mean, that's how this game. That's how like this game was going, and it looked like that's what was going to happen. And in the fourth quarter, obviously, the Eagles put some things together. Saquon Barkley, like you said, put their team on his shoulders, uplifted them. I mean, Dallas Goedert, who had a big day, made that huge catch and run for 60-some yards. Dallas Goedert, man. Like, how do you let Dallas Goedert eat up that kind of yak on you, man?
And then did you hear the
Devontae
radio call? Did you hear Mulata? Mulata's like they did like a mic'd up, and he's like, go, go, go. And he's like, how did you get caught at the one or something like that? You know what I mean? It was kind of funny to see because he thought he was out the gate going to score a touchdown, and here's a tight end. And he's like, get the horse off your back. Come on, run faster. And he got caught at the 1 yard line, which is kind of funny. So I thought it was funny that the teammates are yelling at him.
I mean, and this is kind of interesting, like this comment, because it's still the Saints. I get it. They got off to that quick start. They were the best team in football through the first 2 weeks of this season. And then week 3, the Eagles brought them down to reality a bit, man. But at the same time, the Saints, let's face it, like I said, this game went into the fourth quarter. Saints were up 3, had 3-0 lead going into the fourth quarter, man. And the Eagles were getting nothing accomplished throughout the entire game. So it still looked like it was going to still be potentially a Saints victory when he got into the fourth quarter of this football game. But clearly, like you said, they obviously didn't do nearly enough offensively in this when the Eagles defense played by far their best defensive performance of the season by far thus far. And against a team that had been that was the highest scoring team in football, no less, man, coming into this one. So I don't know what to make. It's hard to put a full grasp on this Eagles team. A lot of injuries they had to deal with. I mean, Devontae Smith went down. I'm not sure his status with the concussion. I don't know if he's still in protocol, if he's been cleared yet or whatever. I'm not sure. A.J. Brown, not having A.J. Brown is definitely affecting the offense, I think, big time. I mean, that's a big piece of the puzzle that to not have A.J. Brown out there is clearly affecting things. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he did go out there and he still had, 300 yards passing, but that was a lot of just, I mean, how this game was. That was just that 311 is not quite what it really all was made out to be, man. A lot of that was just, gotten that fourth quarter, and you were just doing everything you can just to try to get back, try to get this victory. And which he did. They got the job done. But like you said, I think that had a lot to do with Saquon Barkley really putting this team on his shoulders in the fourth quarter. And you see what difference having an impact guy in the backfield like that can make, man. Like, I mean, he just made all the difference in the world. I mean, he didn't get off to the fastest start in this football game either, obviously. But when it was all said and done, when they needed to make some plays, they called his number, and he delivered, man, for sure. So,
I mean, you play who you play. To respond to the no Mets, it's like, listen, man. Going into the game, the Saints were a hot team. Their defense was shutting people down incredibly well. You don't see that because you're looking at 44 and 41 or whatever they had those first 2 games. And yes, they didn't play anybody spectacular, but still they beat the Dallas Cowboys in a boat race. And they beat the Eagles, and the Eagles had problems stopping the run. So the fact that they were able to kind of button it up, it is what it is. But you know, we'll see what happens. You play who you play, and not every team is what we think they are. We all think they're superhuman, and they're not. But going into that game, if you had told me the Eagles, who couldn't contain the Green Bay Packers offensively, and kind of let up a lot of points, a lot of yards against Kirk Cousins in that run game, to go up against the Saints, who boat raced Panthers, and then boat raced the Dallas Cowboys, and you're like, all right, okay, cool. Maybe the Saints will do the same to this reeling Eagles team, and the Eagles figured it out. So got to give credit to them, regardless of if we like the Saints or whatnot. You got to give credit that they won the game to a team that we thought was lesser. I guess it doesn't really matter who it is, but then defense held that team to under 15 points. So good for them, for a team that was putting up. Now, if the Saints go out this week and put up another 30 points in this game, it might be more impressive what the Eagles did, right? So, we'll see what happens. That's why we are here.
Well, to be honest, man, like I'll go back up here to this comment here. Let the Pigeons beat a quality team, and then we'll see what's what. Honestly, through 3 weeks, I'm still not 100% sure what is a quality team in this NFL right now. I'm just not sure. It's unclear. It's a blur. I mean, you got the Chiefs sitting at 3-0, but have they looked really good in this 3-0
Well,
start? Not
here
really. They haven't
here's the
looked
difference.
great. You got the Minnesota Vikings, who going into
Right.
week one, we thought were going to be a bottom feeder team, and they're sitting at 3-0 right now with Sam Darnold playing the best
No.
football of his life. So it's just it's right now. I don't know what it's hard to make. What's what I mean. And Josh Allen right now, Josh Allen's the MVP of the league in my opinion through 3 weeks. In my humble, I think it's just I don't know. You can't figure it out the way these first few weeks have gone, man. I don't know who's. It's like hard to
But
tell who really is good, who's really
and yeah,
bad, who's what. I mean, you got two teams, the Bengals, the Jacksonville Jaguars at 0-3 that I don't think anybody saw either one of those teams at 0-3
no,
right now through the first
no,
3 weeks of the season.
no.
So this whole so far it's been wacky to say the least. What's going on, Alex? Man, thanks for
Wait,
stopping in. Appreciate you,
to,
bro.
to
Make sure
address
y'all
what
go sell out to my guy, Big Blue in the Bronx, Alex. Man,
to
was out
address
there at
what
the game
he's
on
saying.
Sunday. At least you got to see a win, bro.
To address
Yeah, go
what
ahead, Alex.
No Mets is saying, you're not understanding. I didn't downplay the Saints at all. Right? You're saying the Saints are the Saints. If the Saints came in and were in 0-3, you would have been like, oh, the Eagles fucking they almost lost to the fucking lowly ass Saints. The Saints came in and boat raced everybody. We based our prediction on them beating the Eagles based on what they did the previous 2 weeks. Okay, we can always talk about what we thought about it, right? The previous 2 weeks, the Cleveland Browns had been a putrid offense. Look at their 3 weeks. That's not me. Go read their stats. Go look at what they were doing. I had an inkling that this team would keep up with the Cleveland Browns because their offense was banged up. Right? Were they a team going in? Right? Yes. They don't look like the team they are now, just like the Bengals don't look like the team they are now. However, that doesn't mean I'm going to downplay the Saints because Cleveland didn't put up 44 points. Okay, they put up 21 and 18 and 17 points in their 2 games. So it wasn't like the Giants had to stop this juggernaut of an offense. The Eagles, who couldn't stop a nosebleed on Monday Night Football, put together a pretty good game against a team that had blown the doors off their previous 2 opponents. So if you're going to try to use my argument against me, at least do it correctly. That's all. Right, and they didn't because the Browns weren't that good. That was proven. They were proven to lose. Everyone wanted them to lose. They didn't. Go read the articles. They don't like Deshaun Watson. The offense needs to move. Everything that you're talking about with the Giants, same thing with Cleveland over there. They were terrible. They still, even though they dominated the game, they were still in it at the end. Okay, that's what a team does. They hang around, you know. But anyways, let's move on. I'm just trying to get context for it. Big Blue in the Bronx. Thanks for coming through. Sorry, I didn't want to step on that.
Well, all right. Let's move. Let's get ready to move it forward a little bit, man. Unless you got some more thoughts on this one here with the
No,
Eagles, man.
time for the Cowboys.
All right, let's go to the 4 o'clock window. The Dallas Cowboys hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Whoo! We thought this was. I mean, this is a team, two teams desperately. We thought coming into this game needing to win. Especially Baltimore. Baltimore could not afford to go down 0-3, and they hung on and got the job done in Dallas. Man, like I said, just hung on. They let Dallas get right back into it, man. Where they were pretty much they kind of dominated early part of the game, and they allowed Dallas to fight back and get right back into it. And Dallas, damn near a couple more minutes
Stole it
left in this
from 'em.
game, Dallas probably would have absolutely won this football game, and would have stole this from Baltimore. What's your thoughts on this one?
Listen, no Mets. I respectfully disagree how it's being portrayed. You're hearing it the way you want to hear it. I'm explaining it to you the same damn way. You're just looking at it differently. How for this game that we're talking about here, it was interesting to me because when you think about the grand scheme of this game with the Cowboys, right? Had they not fumbled the ball with CD Lamb, maybe the game is tied. Maybe the game is tied. Had they, just done a few more, had they scored maybe a touchdown instead of a field goal, because they had like a 65-yard field goal. Like, didn't they hit something absurd? I think that Audrey,
Dallas Cowboys hit a 65-yard field goal. Yeah,
oh my God,
65
that's like
yarder.
boomer. I mean, to have a kicker like that to really save your offense is good. So again, had they scored a point, if they don't fumble there, maybe they win the game. Somebody said this about Baltimore, and I don't agree. Someone said that Baltimore took their foot off the gas. I don't think they would do that because, again, they just lost two games where they had the lead in the fourth quarter. So to tell me that team is going to be like, oh, well, let's take the foot off the gas against a team like Dallas, who, like I said, they scored 19 points in the quarter, in the fourth quarter alone. If you go look at the stat line across the scoring line, right, the box score, it goes 7. I think it was 14 and then 7. And then I think the Ravens scored one more in the third quarter, which, again, if they don't do that, this game could be different if they don't score. But they scored in the third and then 0 for the Cowboys. They had a field goal in the first, a field goal in the second, and then, nothing in the third. And then they had 19 points in the fourth, which was insane to think about, Well, I mean, I don't. Lamar can say that they took their foot off the gas. I don't believe that. Yeah, if they did, they're stupid because they would look like idiots if they came out and said we took our foot off the gas and that was it. You got to give credit where credit is due. The Cowboys did what they needed to do. They came back in the third quarter. The thing that I'm interested in finding out is whether or not Jake Ferguson will help them out. Once they started to incorporate the tight end a little bit, I thought that kind of opened up the offense. And one thing they did that I think is a formula that they might do is a little bit of hurry up. They seem to be a little bit better in the tempo system when Dax gets tempo. And I think they asked Mike McCarthy about that, and he's like, "Oh, ebb and flow of the game." But you got to think if they struggle out the gate early on, they may have to resort to doing that and doing the up tempo offense and trying to get points that way because this team is built for a lead. What they did against Cleveland is exactly what you want to do. Again, against a team that doesn't have a great running game and didn't have a great run game or running back, they were able to kind of corral and harass Deshaun Watson. When they played Carr and the Saints and they had Alvin Kamara run all over them, they couldn't stop him. And then they had a decent running back in Derrick Henry come out, have 151 yards. They couldn't stop him either. To me, it's like, and they let Lamar Jackson run for like 80-something yards as well, too. They had like over 200 yards offense. This team needs to figure out what they need to do. Because if you watch some of their game, they were in the backfield, the Cowboys, but they just weren't making the tackle. They were missing. There was one play where I saw Trayvon Diggs come up and literally flash, and then he fell down as Derrick Henry's running by him in almost like a business-like decision. Like, I'm not going to hit that guy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's 250 pounds of bone and body. I'm not going to take that. I'll just take this dive and try to go at their legs. So we'll see if they can shore it up. Offensively, I think they found something at the end of the game that they're going to try to build off of. Because their offense was kind of struggling in the first two games to kind of get a rhythm. I think they found that rhythm in the fourth. With that hurry up and that urgency, I think they're going to try to play with that from now on. That's how they played a little bit better last year. And, the Cowboys have been through this, and the NFC East is one of those things where I don't think you don't need a lot of wins to get in. So, but it's going to be a competitive division nonetheless. And they got to do what they got to do. You can't keep giving up 28 points defensively, but, offensively, that was their best. I think that was their best output. Oh, no, it wasn't. Well, technically, yes. They scored points on, I think, a fumble return and a kickoff return in the Cleveland game. So I don't think they quite had 25 points from their offense. I think they only got like 19 or 20. So we'll see what happens. Cowboys are the Cowboys. Their offensive line was solid. I mean, did a job enough. I mean, the Ravens, they were desperate. They're more desperate than the Cowboys. And now we'll see what happens come Thursday night. Two desperate teams playing basically for their seasons on the line. So, I mean, Prime, you got a good game on Thursday because both teams are going to be pulling out all the stops.
I mean, this Dallas football team, look, you already know, like, offensively, they got all the talent in the world over there. They just got to put it all together. They got to figure out a way to run, how to put together some form of a run game. It's going. They got to offensively. They have to figure out a way to put together a run game because now you just got teams sitting back and bracketing and doing whatever they got to stop CeeDee Lamb and slow CeeDee Lamb down, which Baltimore absolutely did in this one here. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, 4 catches, 67 yards. Yeah, it's a lot of guys that would take that as a stat line and be quite okay with that. CeeDee Lamb is not one of those guys. So it's they got to figure out a way to, like I said, to really open up that run game and get things going and make and get guys coming up in the box a little bit more and maybe help open up things downfield a lot more because that's going to be a problem going forward. I don't know if they're still just waiting, they're waiting to get Dalvin Cook up to speed to get him to be able to work him into it and to be able to bring him up to the roster.
Probably after this game.
But they need to figure out something. They need to figure out something to get that run game going because it's been atrocious through 3 weeks. It absolutely has been. It's been abysmal. It's like non-existent, as a matter of fact. 16 carries for 51 yards in this one. That's not acceptable. I mean, that's as a team. That's not acceptable. They have to figure something out. I mean, and then the reverse defensively, they got to figure out a way to stop the run. They've been getting absolutely gashed. I mean, Derrick Henry finally has had his coming out party with the Baltimore Ravens. 25 carries, 151 yards on the day. Absolutely taking it to this Dallas defense, man. So they got to figure out in the pass rush what's going on with this. I mean, the first week against Cleveland, and maybe it is like you said, a Cleveland thing. I mean, they were just absolutely all over the place. The defense looked unstoppable against Cleveland. And it hasn't been like that the last 2 weeks whatsoever. The Saints, and then now here at Baltimore, man, it's been bad. I mean, they didn't even get a sack on Lamar in this one at all. And I know Lamar's not necessarily the easiest quarterback to sack, but at the end of the day, I mean, you need more of an impact from Michael Parsons. You got to figure out a way to get him to be more impactful, man. And then first round draft pick Mozzie Smith, they picked you for the sole purpose. They used that first round pick on him a year ago for the sole purpose of trying to shore up that run defense. And it's just not working, man. It's just not happening. So I don't get it. And I this Dallas Cowboys team, I mean, look, we can say everything you want. They're full of the talent. They got all this. They got Dak. They got CD. They got Mike on defense. They got the good offensive line. I'm sorry. I expected better from this Dallas Cowboys team through 3 weeks than what I've seen, man. And I'm to me, I'm a little. This is one of the teams right now that has got me very confused. To go and lose back-to-back home games like this, I mean, at home, no less. Now, granted, you got a team coming in on Thursday night. They got a team they're facing Thursday night in the Giants that they pretty much have owned for the better part of the last decade. But at the end of the day, man, they're not looking like a team that the New York Giants just have no chance against. I'm sorry. I mean, I get it. The history, the Giants haven't played well as of late against this football team, but it's to me, they're not looking like a team coming into this game that, even short week or not, that the Giants just have no chance against. I mean, I agree that Giants are 6 point underdogs, still 6 point underdogs at home going into this game. But to me, I'm seeing the teams that are a lot that through 3 weeks look a lot more evenly matched than I think people would have thought through the first
Well,
3 weeks of the season.
if we're going to talk about the matchup, I think the matchup is a matchup that the Cowboys and the Giants can both. They both kind of have similar problems. All right, they both stink at run defense. They're both kind of solid in pass defense. Offensively, they have a better pass game than we do, and the run game we don't have a great run game, but it's efficient enough. I mean, so a team like this is a team that they might have a little success against, and I'm not trying to poo-poo the Giants or anything like that, is because they don't have the same dynamic offense that these other teams have across the field. And I'm not trying to make an excuse. I'm just saying that's if the Cowboys are, I think, lucky that they're facing the Giants because there'll be a game that'll be both competitive on both sides. If they lose to the Giants, I don't know if it's over, but it will be a long 11 days for them to get through it. But we'll see what happens. Right. Listen, we did say the same thing about Washington, and guess what? DJ had a game, right? We talked about how he had a game, and guess what? They lost not because their offense played badly. They lost because their coach was dumb. They didn't put a fucking kicker up, and they lost the football game. That's why they lost. They lost because Washington wasn't necessarily the better team that day. They just converted on their points and made all their points when we didn't. Miscues and mistakes. That's what cost the Giants in that game. They had success, right? And I'm just saying, this team is vulnerable right now. The Cowboys, Giants have to figure out a way to, kick them while they're down. But again, the game plan may not be the same as against Cleveland because again, you're dealing with a different offense, right? Deshaun Watson is not Dak Prescott, even though Dak Prescott to many is overrated, I guess to some, he still gets the ball out quickly. He still has those receivers and those weapons. And the one thing that I am nervous about defensively that we haven't talked about and haven't seen yet, because we've only played 3 games, but the tight end hasn't been used much against the Giants. TJ Hawkinson was out and David Njoku was out. But Zach Ertz had a couple catches against the Giants. Jake Ferguson's starting to come around. That's a matchup we need to look at and see if they're going to exploit it. Because if they're just going to sit there and pitch and catch, they may not even have to run. The Cowboys, they don't necessarily have to run in this game per se, but we'll see. And they made a gross miscalculation. I think they're going to start Rico. If I'm them, I would start Rico Dowell at least this game, and then see what happens. See what happens in 11 days, win or lose. I think you'll see Dalvin Cook in week 5. I think what they're trying to do is lick their wounds and see what happens in this game, whether they win or lose. We'll see. We'll see. And again, the Cowboys are desperate and they see a familiar foe, and that might help them. It may not help them necessarily win, but if you're talking about the psyche of a team, both teams going in. The Giants upbeat after a win, big win, beat Cleveland. Everyone said we couldn't do it. Yay, fuck the world, all that type of stuff. Coming and getting a wounded Cowboys team. The thing that scares me about a wounded Cowboys team is what will they do? What measures will they go? What will they have in store? Because a desperate team calls for desperate measures. And, we got to figure that out. The other thing I will say is we haven't seen many returns yet. Kicking game will be impactful in this game, I do believe. It happened with the Browns. The Giants offense got pinned back a couple times inside their own yard line. And that's when they brought the heat. So we'll see what happens, man. The Cowboys not trying to make an excuse for them. The last thing I will say is they're trying to learn the defense and to learn their roles in the defense. And I think that's what's also affecting them. Yes, they suck at the run game. And I'm not trying to take anything away, but it is interesting. It's not Dan Quinn. It's Mike Zimmer. And I think they're still trying to figure out what they're doing over there. And you might have picked them at the right time. Maybe the game against Thanksgiving will be a little different because, you'll have 8 games in 8 weeks and all that stuff. So we'll see. Allegedly.
I mean, we'll see. We will see. But I just think this Dallas team, considering coming into this season, what people were expectations. They got a lot to clean up right now, a whole lot to clean up, and that's a lot. There are a lot
Well,
more questions right now about this team than answers. I mean, they
they
got a
were
lot to
0
clean up.
2.
One and two, 1 and 2 through 3 weeks is not what people saw this Dallas Cowboy team being, especially
Well,
when you look at their opponents through the first 3 weeks.
hear me
No one
out. They
saw
were
this
0
team being one
2.
and two right now.
They're 0 2 in 2022, I think it was, right? They lost to the Bengals. They lost to Tampa Bay. They came in and played the Giants and beat us with a backup quarterback and kicked off their season. This season they played 2 games against 2 teams, and let's not be their like familiar face, punch in the face, kick their ass and get them going. If the Giants want to be real contenders, they got to win this game. But we have one more game in the docket before we dive too deep into those games.
Let's go to Monday night, man.
Woo!
This is the coming out party of Jaden Daniels. For certain, for sure. This young man showed up, showed out. I'm sure he'll be NFC Rookie of the Week when it's all out. Whenever they announce that officially for the week, I'm sure it's
I
one
think it's
person they
already
can
out.
only get at. I mean, Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors had a great game, and that's my boy. That's our guy. I know Malik is our guy, but Jaden Daniels, he went out there, man. He showed off. He showed off on Monday in front of the bright lights on Monday night. 21 of 23. Yes, I said 21 of 23
He had
for
more touchdowns
254
than
yards and his first 2 touchdown passes of the season. And he ran one in as well as he added 39 yards on the ground, man. Jaden Daniels, he's looking like the real thing. By far, through 3 weeks, the best of the rookie quarterbacks. Not
91%.
even up for debate. Not even up for debate right now. Who's the best of the rookie quarterbacks thus far is this 100% Jaden Daniels. And the Washington Commanders, they may have finally secured their franchise quarterback
He's gonna be a
going forward
problem.
for the future, man. This kid is the real deal. And go ahead, take it away, Adam.
Listen, this is why Brian Dable wanted to trade up for him in Hard Knocks. We didn't see a lot of this downfield throw, but hello, Terry McLaurin. Okay, that was a dime. That was a 55-yard dime. See, people, this is what I mean. When you throw the ball downfield, things change. The game is different. The momentum is different. The defense is not on top of you as much, right? And this kid, he was dialing it up, man. He was not afraid of the moment. He had 2 big throws to freaking Terry McLaurin, both beauties. One getting absolutely annihilated. I didn't know. It was like a moonshot, and it dropped right in the bucket. And then another 55-yard bomb to get him down there, and then throws his first touchdown pass to an offensive lineman. Go figure. That's going to be a trivia question. They even asked him that. They said, "Did you get the ball?" He said, "Yeah, man, I got the ball. But I couldn't. I couldn't. I couldn't give it to the lineman. I got to take that. But he'll at least be in the trivia questions, right? So, well, listen, he's looking great, and the Commanders have done a fantastic job of leaning on the run game. And we could talk about Jaden Daniels because he was phenomenal. But the run game has helped him out with Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson, Terry McLaurin. They were asking about him. They were saying he was being patient, and you even heard him at the end of the game. I never seen Terry McLaurin so happy in his life. He's like, they showed a poster in the game where all the 11 quarterbacks he's had in his, or it's probably more than that, he's had in his career, and finally you're starting to see a guy who's like, I can do something. And this is what Jaden Daniels did in college. He threw the ball downfield a lot. He was a good deep ball thrower. That was mainly his game, a lot of the games we saw. So, very impressive. You saw it in the Giant game as well. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way. And I don't know if it's his training regimen. I heard that he does some VR stuff with these goggles for some practice reps. That's what he did apparently going into college, and that's why I had that breakout season. And a lot of people said, and myself included, a little bit, saying, hey, was Jaden Daniels a product of LSU and those receivers? Well, guess what? Those receivers were a product of Jaden Daniels, okay? So we got to give him credit where credit is due. Malik Neighbors, while he's having an impact, is not being utilized the same way as he was in LSU, and that's just a fact. Defensively, the Commanders not very good, but again, This is what I talk about with a track meet, and this is the type of things I talk about analytically, whereas the Giants are very methodical, take up 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes of a drive to get 7 to 3 points, and then the team goes down and bing, bang, boom, scores, right? This is what you're going to have to do, because there are going to be teams like Joe Burrow who's going to come in here and he's going to put up points, but their defense is not very good. So can you match bar for bar? Jaden Daniels kicked the door open. Like, he did not, like, now we're gonna see what he does the rest of the year. But it was a good performance, and I'm just mad because now he's in our division. It's not like it's CJ Stroud where, you're watching from afar. Good job, kid. See you when we see you, right? No, we're gonna see this guy twice a year for the next however many years. And it's just, when you look at our situation, you look at the situations in our division, it's like, man, did you think who had the Commanders on their bingo card being number one on the division right now? Because right now, I know it's early, and I'm not trying to say anything, but if the playoffs were to start today, the Commanders are getting in with the division right now. They're leading 2-1, right? Even though the Eagles won, because I think of scoring and points that they put up, they're have a slight edge because they've scored a lot of points. That's what we forget. They scored 20 points against.
Technically, the Commanders are first, and technically the Dallas Cowboys are last. Technically, by all the little points and
metrics,
whatever stuff that they,
which is kind of odd, because I thought they would be I thought the Cowboys would be at least in third place, because their margin of score against Cleveland was far better than our margin of score. But they're probably doing it with overall points is what's doing it. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Point is, their defense wasn't very good. They gave up 33 points. Joe Burrow had a hell of a game. I don't care what anybody says. I know Chris Canty talked about my guy, Joe Burrow, saying it was his fault. I don't think it's his fault. Joe Burrow played a phenomenal football game. They dialed up everything they can do. You lost to a rookie quarterback who had a sensational night. Just give credit where credit's due. Sensational night. Where it shouldn't be a track meet, most games, the majority of listen, people need to comprehend that sometimes you're going to be in a race, and with your cornerbacks being injured, quarterbacks are going to test you and see if they can do it. The Giants have a bend but don't break defense at their core. So if they're going to start to blitz down and things like that, teams are going to do that to them, right? Look at what Commanders are doing. By the way, their Commanders offensive line is playing better than I thought they were going to. Everyone told me how bad Bobby Johnson was. I'm wondering what the issue was here. How come? And the offensive line wasn't really that bad in 2022. It just, it just looked bad because Daniel held the ball a little long, and they still were upwards of sacks. They still had some decent players. It wasn't great by any means, but why are they doing so much better? What is the difference? Is it Cliff Kingsbury and his philosophy? Because all I heard is how bad Bobby Johnson was, and they kept Jaden Daniels relatively clean, all night.
I don't know. I wouldn't say. I think we're taking a little credit away from Jaden Daniels. Just the extra intangibles he brings to the table. There's a lot of times he gets corralled, and he's like a little slippery little. Getting out of some trouble. Man. So I think I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to say that O-line is playing exceptionally well as much as I would say Jaden Daniels is just he's a gifted, very very gifted athlete, and he's making some things happen. I mean, I remember I don't know if it was this game on Monday night or even last week or whatever, but I mean he was wrapped up, looked dead to rights. It looked like. And he just got out of there, man. And it was almost like, what? How the hell did he do that? Like he's a magician or something. So I got to give some of that credit to Jaden Daniels, just being the superior athlete that he is. He has his ways of, he's elusive. I'll just put it that way. He's very very elusive, very slippery. So
I think his impact is being felt throughout the team, and I think that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. Because we talked about this before. The Commanders have a renewed sense of life because of everything that I know people don't want to talk about this, but the ownership in that black cloud, going to work every day in that dump of a stadium, having to answer questions about your owner and all this stuff, they haven't had to do that. They have a competent head coach. You may not like Dan Quinn, fine. I don't care. That's not what we're talking about here on there, right? So, I mean, they did have 5 sacks, but could that have been him holding on the ball too long? Again, I'm not going to get into semantics, but it is what it is. But what I'm saying is that if I'm a Commander fan, I got to be juiced, man. We just beat the Bengals, who are supposedly this good team as well, and they're struggling as well right now, two out the gate, and we scored 30 something points on them, and our quarterback looks fantastic, and that's why we got him. Now I'm just. I'm just if I'm a Commander fan, I'm excited. The rest of the season is gravy if this kid can just do what he's doing, right? And who knows? Maybe the NFC East is a shitty division this year, and you don't only need 8 or 9 wins to get in. And who knows? Maybe the ball bounces their way, and he's a sensation. He does what they do with RG3, and hopefully he doesn't have an RG3 career. I don't want to put that on him, but in terms of that, but maybe he gets to the playoffs. Maybe he has lightning in a bottle. So good for him. It's good to see that franchise actually get a quarterback finally. Redskins, excuse me, Commanders have never really bothered me. They've always been a bottom dweller with us, but it was just interesting to watch their maturation over the years of getting a quarterback, losing out on Kirk Cousins, putting in Henneke, Mariota, Kyle Allen, whatever other Alex Smith. Oh, so many bums they have over there. My God, but you know what I'm saying. So it is what it is. I do I do think they have a good foundation. So we'll see what happens when they do defensively. What they will accomplish because they didn't do a very good job defensively. Let's be honest. They gave up 33 points. It's not a very good job. So listen, they look when you're in their position, you can celebrate like that. You know what I mean? Like think about that. When's the last time you
I
won a
want to
game?
just touch real quick before we move away from these guys. I do want to bring up one thing you brought up that I think was a great point. When you get good quarterback play like this, and you got a guy that you really can believe in, and you can see he's a winner, and he's definitely going out there and he's giving you everything he's got. That game on Monday night, his first NFL game under the lights in the prime time on Monday Night Football against what was, I mean, even though they came in 0-2, Cincinnati Bengals, a very respected football team. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins was back in the lineup. Joe Burrow, one of the better quarterbacks in this league. I mean, look, he went out there and he took it to him. You punched him right in the mouth right away. And look, when you got a guy like Jaden Daniels that the team can believe in, it's going to uplift the rest of the team. You're going to get upgraded play from everyone across the board because they believe, that, and they believe they got a guy that as long as the defense, like for instance, the defensive guys feel like as long as we do our job, we know that guy right there is going to go out there and bring us home, man. And when you feel that kind of confidence, it's just invigorating what it can do, man, for your football team. And I want to get that back for the New York Giants. I'm looking for that. And unless you have any final thoughts, man,
You
on
know,
unless you have any final thoughts on this game, we can get ready to go to the previews.
my last closing thought is just like if you're a Commander fan, enjoy it. Celebrate like you got the Super Bowl, right? Because and I don't. People shouldn't be like mad that they're doing that. This team has had a black cloud over their heads for the better part of 24 years. When did Snyder buy the team? 99, 98, something like that. So the better part of like
Something like
almost
that, yeah.
almost 30 years. So the first time that they have success and they do it in a fashion to which on the line. How many times has Washington been on prime time? How many times in the last year has Washington been on prime time? Now guess what? They're going to be a marquee. They're going to be a team you want to watch because oh man, look what Jaden Daniels did. Look what Jaden did. They're going to be the talk of the town, the toast. Uh, and they haven't been. And so for them, enjoy it. Enjoy the honeymoon while it's here and see what they do going forward. Because let's say, they don't have a great year or whatever, right? They end up with 6, 7, 8 wins. Next year you have cap space. See what you do, who you bring in, how you can shore up that defense. So
But
Man,
all
no,
right,
man.
I just want to touch on this comment right quick. Oh, let me touch on this comment right quick with Ron P because I would like to address it. This is a fun kind of comment for me because the division it's fallen off. Maybe the Eagles have been an exciting team over the last couple of years. Dallas same way. I mean they've been Washington Giants not so much obviously, but I think just what it is it's not so much that it's fallen off. It's just that this division, as far as for me growing up as a kid in the 80s, 90s, was unquestionably the best division in football for a lot of years. I mean, unquestioned. It wasn't even about what division is the best. The NFC East was the number one division in football for several years throughout my childhood. You know what I mean? And now, yeah, the rest of the league has caught up to the NFC East in a sense. You know what I mean? Other divisions have strengthened, have gotten better. I mean, and the NFC East is not what it once was. You know what I mean? But it's just I
It'll get
think
there.
I think we got so used to that. I don't know how old you are, Ron P, how far back you go, but at the end of the day, I think it's just that it just that's all it really is comes down to. I think as guys like at my age, where I'm 47, we we got used to the NFCs being that dominant division in football. I mean, it's still, if I'm not mistaken, the only division where all four teams got Lombardis. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the only division that can say that still. But I could be wrong. I got to fact check that one. Yeah, I think you just got used to watching dominant football from this division so much growing up, and then now it's just like it's not. It's a little up and down. It's not. It's not consistent like it used to be. I mean, this used to be. Oh, NFC East, man. It was used to be to just. Come on, you knew what you were getting from NFC East matchups back in the day, man. And it's not quite the same anymore. I get it, but
Well, it's because they
yeah,
were winning
things
championships back to
change.
back with each other. You had the Giants in the '80s, and then the Commanders, Redskins at that time in the late '80s, early '90s, and then you had the Cowboys and their runs. I mean, the Cowboys also had their history for many years, but in that 1980 to about 1995 ish type of span, you had them really dominate. And then, of course, you had the Giants and Eagles winning recently in recent memory as well. So, they've been around, and he's 42, so he's seen it. You know, I think the
Yeah,
division has lost its
you've seen
luster.
what I've seen.
Yeah, it's lost its luster a little bit because you don't have the same names. The marquees aren't the same anymore. You don't have the LTs, the Reggie Whites, the Jerome Browns, the Randall Cunninghams, the Troy Aikmans, the Emmett Smiths of the world. Those teams that were competitive with everyone, right? And it's the most competitive division in the NFL. No one's been a back-to-back repeat winner, as frequently as most teams across the NFL, right? The Cowboys won last year, and then the Eagles won the year prior to that, right? So if you look at it like that, it's the most exciting division to watch because there are more teams don't always win. Like the West has been won by the 49ers for God knows how long. I mean, that may change this year with Seattle, but you know,
But yeah, we got to move it along. Let's move it along a bit though. Let's get to the first matchup on the week. Thursday night football, MetLife Stadium. New York Giants hosting the Dallas Cowboys. We all know what happened on Sunday Night Football Week 1, a season to go at MetLife Stadium. We do not need to see a repeat of that performance, that's for sure. And how do you see this one looking on Thursday night in this Giants Dallas matchup, Adam?
well, I'm going to pick the Giants to win. There you go, no Mets and all you people. But it's a game where the Giants have to score touchdowns. The Cowboys are predicated on being the reason why they did well against Cleveland is Cleveland didn't have a strong offense. They got out to a fast start, and once they scored, Cleveland couldn't come back because they didn't have the horses in the race. Giants, you have to figure out how to run the football, ball control, and score touchdowns when you can. You got to score more than 21 points. You got to find a way to do it. It's been their plateau. The Giants, they've broken through the three. They scored 3 touchdowns last week. They couldn't quite get to 21. They just got to 21 now. If you look at the defensive metrics, the Cowboys are the worst run defense in the league. The Giants have the 26th ranked rush game in the league. Not that great. Devin Singletary, the guy I'm looking at in this game, if I'm a Giant fan, there we go, AC. Oh God, oh man, if you only knew. But the guy I would feature in this game is Tracy. You need a little bit more of a dynamic back. I like Singletary. He's not my first choice of running back. He's kind of a plotter, and let's be honest, he didn't have a great game against Cleveland. He had an okay game. The 43-yard run puts his numbers in a better place than it was, but he kind of got bottled up. The Cowboys know this. They're going to try to stop it, and they're probably going to say, Daniel, beat us. And the thing that worries me is we lost Adoree Jackson and Adoree Phillips. And if you blitz, where Dak has been pretty good this season against the blitz, that's where it scares me. And then here's the other conundrum. If you don't blitz, the Giants corners haven't been playing pretty close to the receivers. They're giving up, like, how many times do I got to see Deonte Banks give up a touchdown to a receiver in the corner of the end zone? Like, what are we doing here? So I'm worried in that regard that if the Cowboys block up the blitz and they don't have anybody, because let's be honest, Isaiah Simmons right now, while I like the guy, he's out of position. Okay, like he doesn't know if he's playing safety, he doesn't know what he's doing, and if they can get their tight end involved like they did last week, it's going to be a tough day at the office for the Giants if they don't figure that out. Because I think the tight end is going to be a big key for the Dallas Cowboy offense because they need to get that in there. As for the Giants, don't fuck it up, Daniel. That's all you have to say is don't fuck it up, Daniel. That's it. This team, we know you have a bad primetime record. Fine. We know you have a fucking, history of shit in the bed with the Cowboys. Fine. Give it to Malik Neighbors and just be what you've been the whole season, a fucking passenger. Okay, if you look at his numbers right now, he has 600 yards. I did the extrapolation of what it would be for the rest of the season. He's about 3,400 yards. He's an average quarterback. Stay being average. Don't do anything hero ball. If it's not there, take the fucking sack and don't fucking, fuck it up. Because I think the Cowboys are going to bring extra pressure because they have to stop the run. And I think it's just going to just bring more bodies and see what happens. Their DBs are a little bit better. Diggs is okay. I know they lost Bland, but I think they can cover like that. But the Giants have to take advantage of. Throw the fucking ball downfield, Daniel. Hit a play. If you hit a play and get your crowd into it, right? Change the momentum. Change the momentum. The Cowboys are coming in here, wounded duck, against a team that they're familiar with, that they're not intimidated by. Not saying they're going to win in overconfident. They obviously aren't. Because if you listen to what they say, they're praising the Giants and they're doing everything they need to do to try to get their shit together. But and what scares me is Dak Prescott is locked in. And sometimes he can get hot. And I think in the fourth quarter of that game, he started to figure something out. And if that momentum keeps in, it could be a long day at the office. The Giants, they're key to victories. Here they are. Try to run the football and score touchdowns. If you have long, methodical drives, you cannot end in a field goal. This team's offense is too good for that. I know that they're struggling, but your defense is not the greatest. So they will be able to move the ball on you. You've got to put it in the end zone. They've got a great kicker over there on the Dallas Cowboys. So don't leave points on the board for that team. Guy kicked a 65-yard field goal. I don't know what the weather's going to be like, but that means that guy's got a pretty strong leg. It means he's a weapon. Whether or not he makes those kicks, different story, but it just if it's a close game, can favor the Cowboys because of their kicking situation. Meanwhile, we don't even know if our kicker is going to be good. So make sure you score touchdowns. The last thing is try to get a turnover. That's not, that's more than just a sack fumble. You got one last week, but there's been a lot of giveaways that have been given to the Giants like gifts, right? They need to start to do what the other teams are doing to them. That's punching the ball out. Cleveland punched the ball out. Commanders punched the ball out on Devin Singletary. Get a turnover here. Try to equalize the game, because if you don't, you could easily fall into that trap where, that's it. Do that. First play of the game, throw a deep shot to Neighbors, See what the fuck happens. Now, hit the deep shot. Don't just throw it, Daniel, to throw it, because now you're in 2nd and 10, advantage Cowboys, who are now going to be like, okay, you fucked up, here we come. Because that's what the Cowboys are trying to do. Their defense is predicated on pressure. They want to keep you in long down and distance. If you're going to give that to them and do behind the line of scrimmage plays, this defense will come up and make those tackles. You've got to hit them in the middle of this field and hit them deep, because I'm telling you right now, 21 points ain't going to win this game for you. You've got to score 24 at least to just be hopefully competitive. They scored 25 in that game, and they scored 19 in the fourth quarter, okay? And they scored 1 billion points against the Browns. So you want to be a team. This is the game. You got to show me something. And the one thing I will say is this. We have to start to see Daniel be Jaden Daniels. I know that's a lot to ask, but you can't always be a passenger, because there's going to be a game where you're going to need to be the Daniel from, I guess, even more than the Minnesota game. I don't want you to have 300 yards and 1 touchdown. I want you to have what Joe Burrow with Josh Allen had, 4 touchdowns, 240-something yards. Like, you need to have that type of performance, I think, Thursday night. But if he does that, I'll give him praise. If he's normal Daniel, well, then you have to hope that the run game, can kind of balance it out. And Devin Singletary, while I like him again, I want to see Tracy. We need more juice back there. Just like the Cowboys need juice, we need fucking juice. Devin Singletary is a good complimentary back. He's not a good feature back. I'm sorry if people are mad about that, but his pocket presence seems a little better. I'll tell you why. Is because it's easier when the guy's not coming up the middle, right? So a lot of the pressure that you saw from Minnesota came from the middle and the A gaps when they blitzed the A gaps, right? He still has problems when the blitz comes, but because of last week, most of the things were coming off the edges. He was able to step up in the pocket because no one was really in his face too much. This time, I'm not sure that will happen, because I don't know what Mike Zimmer's going to do. But basically, when the blitz comes, read the hot read, make the right decisions, play an efficient game, and the Giants can have a chance. That's all you want, is a chance.
I mean, yeah, you said basically everything. This team, I agree too. Come out and hit them with something unexpected. Don't do what they expect you to do. Don't just turn around on first down and just put the ball in Devin Singletary's belly. They expect you to do that. So you got to catch them off guard. I mean, you get you get a play action working right there. Daniel Jones is not a terrible play action quarterback. You just got to hit the damn passes down the field. You know what I mean? So you get that going. You can get that on first down. The Cowboys probably wouldn't see that coming. And just go for it, man. Like that's what the good teams do, man. They go and they try to get you right immediately, man. And this Cowboy team, I could totally see, because whether you know it or not, these teams, these players, they hear all the chirpers, all the media, and everybody telling about how bad they've been against the run. They're going to probably try to overcompensate that a little bit, man. So take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. What you could potentially be facing, man. The Dallas Cowboys have been struggling to stop the run, man. So look for them to overcompensate a bit. Do some things to open up the passing game and take advantage of that. And as far as with Dak Prescott, man, I mean, with the way they've been running the football, it's like pin your ears back and get to him, man. Dak he's not a statue by any means, but at the end of the day, he's not like the most mobile of guys either. So you got to just go get after him, get that pass rush going, ferocious. Get Brian Burns, Thibodeau, Aziz, Dexter Lawrence, all these guys, man. Get it going, man, and just get after his ass, man. Turbo Miller is on the practice squad, right? If I'm not mistaken. So
yes, he's not even there. The one last thing I will say is the thing that will beat the Giants defense that I'm starting to see a trend on is the spread offense. Every team that has been 5 wide and allowed to spread this defense out and not get all those linebackers all bottled in have had success. Cowboys had success last week doing it in the hurry up. If their traditional offense doesn't work, look for them to say, okay, fuck it, scrap it, and go out of the shotgun and spread wide formation for most of the game. That's probably what they're going to try to do to attack. And you again got to make your plays. But I don't really have much more. Giants, try to do what you got to do. If you want to be if you want to be considered a contender, beat the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday, and people will get on your bandwagon. By hook or by crook. Your quarterback, I don't care, whatever. He's a passenger of the team, fine. But if you want to be a believer and be a playoff team and sniff, because your schedule after this ain't easy. You got Seattle, you have Philadelphia, you have a lot of teams that your offense, that styles make fights, that your offense fits right into what they do best defensively. So get out there and get after it. Because if they lose, it's going to be a long 11 days, man, for the and then the Cowboys are going to go on about their merry way. So, it should be fun. We'll see what happens. Division games are always weird like that, so we'll see.
Just want to also real quick before I step away from this one, let's go back to just for the Giants because it was one thing that did bother me in the Cleveland victory was the drive we missed the missed field goal drive.
Yes.
This was a situation where situational football. If we would have lost that football game, I would have blamed mostly on that particular drive.
Sure.
Not even so much for the missed field goal, but for how conservative the conservative approach with that drive. You didn't even attempt to really get a first down there. They just turned the ball, turned around, and three little basic handoffs to Devin Singletary, basically playing for the field goal. That's not what you can do against this Dallas Cowboy football team. You got to be aggressive. You can't just be so conservative and sit back and just accept, oh, we're just going to try to accept 3 points. And he didn't even get the 3 points. They ended up missing that field goal, and it really could have cost them the game, but things worked out and they got away with the victory in Cleveland. But I looked at that situation. If they would have lost that football game, that would have been the reason why, in my opinion. You can't be that conservative. You can't be scared. Scared money don't make money, man. You gotta go out there and you gotta make it happen, man. And that's what you paying Dan. You didn't pay Daniel Jones all that money. What you said, you didn't pay your quarterback $60 million to hand it off to a whatever you call it, however you refer to Saquon Barkley as a running back, whatever you. So same difference. You didn't pay him that money to turn around and just get a ball at Devin Singletary a few times and bring the kicker that we just signed a few days ago out here, try to kick this damn 40s, whatever, however long the field goal was that he missed. But it just you gotta be aggressive in situations like that, be more aggressive in situations like that, and that's what I want to see from this New York Giant team. And hopefully this Giant team can go out there and be a little more competitive with the Cowboys. We will find out. Right now, honestly, I just don't feel really good just giving Daniel Jones history on prime time, given just the Giants' recent history with the Dallas Cowboys. It hasn't been a good matchup for the Giants. The Dallas Cowboys have usually feasted on the New York Giants. Other than that, pandemic season, Giants had snuck one in when Dak Prescott was out. But we will see. Gilly, thanks for stopping in. You're right. He could be the key. Dallas has had a struggle stopping the run, but we'll have to find out, man. We'll have to definitely find out and see if the Giants can keep hitting them with the run game a little bit. I think it will take a little more than Singletary, but we'll have to see, man. I think that's definitely the way. You don't get too crazy, but at the same time, you got to, like Adam said, you got to figure out a way to score points because 21 points is not going to beat the Dallas Cowboys. So let's get ready to move it along. Got the Eagles going down to Tampa Bay. Rematch of the wild card round from a season ago, where things did not work out very well for the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Tampa Bay coming off their first loss of the season on Sunday in surprising fashion, getting absolutely trashed by Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos on Sunday. I don't think anybody really saw that one coming, man, after they watched the Broncos for the first couple of weeks. But what do you expect in this one from Eagles and Bucks, man?
It's an interesting game. I don't really know what to expect because of both teams have kind of been Jekyll and Hyde. To be honest with you, both teams have 2 wins and have looked pretty good in their 2 wins, right? I'm going to go on a limb here and say that the Eagles win the game. And the reason I say that is because I think Tampa Bay, you're starting to see a little bit of cracks in the armor, little chinks in the armor, and I think they might have overestimated Denver and or underestimated Denver. I guess that's might have what happened because Bo Nix didn't. He played a fishing game and they won the game. But we'll see what happens. I think Tampa Bay needs to bounce back. The Eagles are riding an emotional high, and sometimes that emotion can carry you into a game like this for Tampa Bay. But we'll see how we'll see how it works out. Again, we'll see if the defense of because the thing is Tampa doesn't have a great run game. And so that kind of plays into a team like the Eagles because when you don't have to worry about a run and your team's built predominantly on pass and getting to the quarterback like that, I think that's what they're going to try to do. I think they're going to, Zach Bond was all over the field. That guy is going to be getting extension this year. So I think the Eagles have a solid chance. I mean, Tampa Bay, it's going to be a good game in week 3 to see. Both teams fighting for, footing in the top of the NFC, picture right now. I know it's early, but we're going to week 4. If you lose to Tampa Bay, it doesn't end your season. But if you win to Tampa Bay, you could start to, either team can start to really ascend. So that's what my thoughts are. What are yours?
All right, right quick. Let me hit Greg right quick. Greg, yeah, I watch it occasionally when I get a chance to, man. But I haven't been too much lately because I've been really busy with a lot of stuff going on, man. But occasionally when I do, I get a chance. I check it out. He said that they keep Hurts in the pocket. Philly loses, and he says he likes Tampa. But anyway, I like the Eagles here, and Tampa Bay got a little banged up this week. I mean, Mike Evans is coming into this game a little hobbled. Will be coming into this one a little hobbled. He's listed on the injury report as questionable. I'm sure he'll still be out there, but I think there's a possibility the Eagles do get AJ Brown back. And like I say, I've always said it. Teams don't forget, man. The Eagles had to go on the road last season with a better record than Tampa Bay. Go down to there and play them in that wild card game, and they lost on the road in that wild card game. And I think that teams don't forget things like that. They remember and they want to exact that revenge a little bit. And I think the Eagles will get it here, man. Tampa Bay, I think, like you just said, they kind of looking like a few chinks in the armor now. Baker Mayfield had those 2 great starts, and then against Denver, he looked god awful, man. He looked pretty awful against Denver on Sunday. And we honestly, the way this season's been going, we don't know if that will sustain like that because this season has been so weird so far. But I just right now, I think the Eagles winning in the fashion in which they won on Sunday, that is kind of those kind of things do jolt, can have a way of jolting a good team. And you may start to see a little bit of the Eagles that you expect that people have been expecting to see, even though, like I said, some of the injuries don't know the status of Devontae Smith going into this week. But yeah, I like the Eagles here. I just think they're going to find a way to go down there and kind of repay Tampa Bay for that wild card game back in January. But that's really all I got. I don't really have much else to say about these guys, about the Eagles in the Tampa Bay game. I think it could potentially be a good game, but you never know what to really expect. Like I said, this season has been so wacky. Who knows what could happen? I mean, you look at what Denver did to the Bucks. You would think the Eagles are definitely going to go in there and destroy them, but you just never know, man. It's just like you said, that could have been a case of Tampa Bay just underestimating their opponent because how bad Denver looked the first couple of weeks. Who knows? We'll have to see. I mean, only time will tell. We'll see on Sunday, man. Maybe it'll give us a clearer picture of what to expect. But we got one more game to cover real quick before we get ready to get out of here, man. Going running a little overtime with y'all this week, man. A little overtime with y'all this week, man. But you got the Commanders, Washington Commanders, heading out to the desert, take on Arizona Cardinals, man. Another
It's gonna be a
another
barn
team that, even though they're sitting at 1-2, but it's like they've been playing a lot better than typical 1-2 football team the Arizona Cardinals have. So, man, what you thinking about this one for the Commanders, man?
I am going to say the Washington Commanders end up 3-1 after this weekend because I think they're going to go in there after this big win. Dan Quinn's going to have them even keeled. Cliff Kingsbury's going to want to go back there and put it on this organization. And I just think they're the hot team right now. And while like I like what Arizona's doing, they're not fully there yet. They're still kind of getting their sea legs about them, and they need this game. And they could win. And I hope they do. But momentum matters. And right now, the hottest team in the NFL right now, or most talked about team, is Commanders. And if Jaden Daniels, who by the way, can we praise the guy for not putting the ball in harm's way? I don't think he has an interception yet, which is kind of insane to think about
He doesn't.
when
He
you're a
does
rookie.
not.
And let's be real, the Cardinals are susceptible to getting thrown on, and you saw what Josh Allen did to that team, and you see what they're giving up points. So I think it's going to be. I think this is probably going to be one of the most exciting games of the weekend, just because you have two teams that don't play much defense and have two quarterbacks that can be exciting. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to ride the hot hand here and go with Washington, but I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Got Washington for three in a row. I think maybe this is just because I kind of want this to happen. I want the Cardinals to beat the Washington Commanders for obvious reasons, and I kind of think it may happen. I think the Cardinals have been, man. I mean, granted, we know what they did to the Rams a couple of weeks ago, obviously destroying that team, taking it to them. But they had a heartbreaker against the Bills. They had another heartbreaker on Sunday, man. I just think this Washington team, man, is. I think Kyler Murray. I think it's going to be too much Marvin Harrison Jr. Honestly, I think that's going to be the Achilles heel of this Washington team in this one, man. And James Conner as well. I think James Conner is probably one of the most just underrated running backs in this league right now, man. I mean, I think he does not get enough credit for how good he actually is. And I think he could be a difference maker in this one against the Washington Commanders. And I think some of the things he'll be able to do will help open up the passing game with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think it's going. I think this one, Washington coming off this big emotional win on Monday night football. I think they can come in here and potentially lay an egg a bit, and I think Arizona will get them. I think Jaden Daniels will continue to play well, though I believe in the talent of Jaden Daniels. I think this young man is as real as it gets. But I think that defensively, I think the defense is going to be the big issue here, and I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to be able to take advantage of some of the weaknesses on the Washington Commander defense and exploit some things. And I think at home, Arizona is going to get the job done against the Commanders. But that's what I got. And that's what I want to happen for obvious reasons because we can't have the Washington Commanders running away with the division now. Can't have them going 3-1. You know what I mean? Can't just let that just all willy nilly. Gotta bring them back down a notch a little bit. They supposed to be down here with the Giants and competing for third place. Now they're battling for first. But but that's really all I got on that one, man. I don't really have much more to put. And, before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you something. I wanted to ask you. Uh, did you hear about what you think about Cam Newton's comments? I don't know if you heard about Cam Newton's comments about one Mr. Eli Manning.
Um, I heard a little bit. I read something around if Eli gets in, he should be a two-time Hall of Famer. Listen up, Cam Newton. You know you're in the Hall of Fame in of being a powder. That's what you're in, being a crybaby. Okay, you are a good talent, but you are not far from a Hall of Famer. Okay, you could put you in that Randall Cunningham kind of category. I mean, Steve McNair, I believe, was better than you. Randall Cunningham, I believe, was better than you. Michael Vick was better than you. Okay, just because you're a phenomenal talent. Shut your mouth. You're not Eli. You can't even hold Eli Manning's jock. What that guy did in the Super Bowl runs, you can't even do. So I'm sorry, Cam Newton. He what he said was Nomad said if Eli Manning gets in the Hall of Fame, he should be a two-time Hall of Famer. because he feels he was that much better than Eli Manning. And all I have to say to Cam Newton is, you wish you could be Eli Manning. And I'm not trying to be an angry Giant fan here. All I'm trying to be is respectful to that guy. Eli Manning doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Is he the most flashy guy? No. Is he a Hall of Famer? Yes. Was he?
Yep.
Will he? Does he have to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? No. But should he be in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. Did Cam Newton do enough to be in the Hall of Fame? No. I'm sorry. And I would put Steve McNair and Michael Vick and Randall Cunningham in before I put in Cam Newton. Those guys were better. Period.
Cam Newton. You know what Eli got 2 of? That you don't? Eli got 2 rings, brother. 2 rings, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Cam Newton, you had Super Bowl opportunity. You were the best. You took your team, the Carolina Panthers, to Super Bowl. That was your best year of your career. You were MVP of the league that season. And you went in the Super Bowl. You had every opportunity to put that away. The Carolina Panthers were the best team in football by far that season. And what happened? You went in there and you laid an egg. You laid an egg and you got ran over by the Denver Bronco defense.
And Peyton Manning
absolutely torched.
With a noodle of an arm. Noodle of an arm.
Exactly. Peyton Manning wasn't the reason the Broncos won that Super Bowl. It was Von Miller and that Bronco defense that was beating up on you, Cam Newton, and your Carolina Panther offense that entire game. So watch your mouth and put some respect on Eli's name, bro. That's all I got to say about it. It was absolutely. I just absolutely started laughing when I saw that he said that. Like, Cam, really, bro? You're not even in the. You didn't leave the league because you on your own accord. You left the league because nobody wanted you anymore, bro. That's what happened to you. Nobody wanted you anymore. So I'm just look. People need, like you said, people need to put respect on Eli Manning's name. People like I said, it's a lot of intangible things about Eli Manning that people don't give him credit for. Eli Manning, one of the greatest all-time clutch quarterbacks. People seem to just forget that.
Wouldn't be crying on the sideline. That's for sure.
When the game was on the line, and you needed to put the ball in somebody's hand, Eli was one of the most reliable guys you could do that with down the stretch of any game. All the time. And then what he did on the biggest stage, like I said, he has literally 2 of the most iconic throws in Super Bowl history. In 2 different Super Bowls, 2 of the most iconic passes you'll see in the history of the game. But people just seem to want to, because he has the weird, goofy looking face, and he's not the rah-rah guy and all this other craziness. So, like you said, he had to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't necessarily believe so. I think he's not necessarily a first ballot Hall of Famer kind of guy, but at the same time, he's a Hall of Famer. Put some respect on his name. Cam Newton, you think you really deserve 2 gold jackets if Eli gets 1? Give me a fucking break. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in, man. It's been another great edition of the Real Deal NFC East Round-Up. Myself and Adam Costas will be back next Wednesday. Please go to Adam's channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, thumbs up. Go to my channel at MacDaGiantsFan, do the same, man. We definitely appreciate y'all, man. But look, we'll be back. I'm not even gonna touch that. I'm not gonna go there right now. No Mets. I appreciate the comment. I ain't going there right now, bro. I don't want to take it to a whole different extreme. But do appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure y'all go sub up to the Hardcore Sports Network as well, man. Hit the thumbs up, hit the likes, man. And we back next Wednesday, man, for another great show, breaking down the Week 4 action, man. It's your boy Mac the Giants fan. I got here with my guy, the super dope co-host Adam Costas, and we will see y'all next week, man. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants fan. That's MacDa Giants fan.